Chief Washington correspondent Jon Karl is here. He's out with a new book, Retribution, Donald Trump and the Campaign That Changed America. Welcome, John. Your fourth book on the Trump era, and you first met Donald Trump, what, more than 30 years ago, or about 30 years ago?
1994.
So you guys go way back, and he still talks to you.
Yeah, so look, I was covering this incredible campaign. I mean, we've never had a campaign. George, you and I have been part of our coverage of how many presidential campaigns, more that we want to admit. There's never been a campaign quite like this. And yes, I've known Trump longer than basically anybody else in his White House who isn't related to him. And I was talking to him regularly over the course of the campaign. During the fall, like almost every few days, I would pick up the phone and call him. Sometimes I would get a cold call from him out of the blue, and chronicling this wild campaign, not only a wild story, but the most consequential election of our time.
Well, and that's what you say. He's now set up for the most consequential, radical second term.
Yeah, look, Donald Trump faced in this campaign the real possibility that he was going to go to prison, or that he would get elected and become arguably the most powerful president of our lifetime. Empowered for many reasons, but especially a Supreme Court decision which gives near blanket immunity to the President of the United States.
And you also have revelations in this book, including the handwritten notes of Mike Pence from January 6th?
Yeah, this is an incredible historical document. It's the notes that Pence took in real time when he spoke to Donald Trump at 11 in the morning on January 6th. And Trump was pressuring him to use his role as presiding over the certification of the election to overturn the presidential election. He writes what Trump said to him and what he said in reverse. And there's a moment in the notes where you see Pence actually sketches what looks like an angry face emoji. Trump is telling him, "You listen to the wrong people," and Pence is saying in response, "I listen to my heart, I listen to my mind."
Incredible. That would have been evidence had the president actually gone to trial for trying to overturn January 6th. Jack Smith, the special counsel, had. He also spent a lot of time with a close Trump ally, Steve Bannon.
Yeah, Steve Bannon, I think, is maybe the most important, if not one of the two or three most important people in Trump world. He's not in the White House this time. The first time around, he was the chief strategist. Bannon spoke to me for hours and hours and hours on the record, George, including giving me a detailed accounting of his time behind bars. He spent 4 months in prison during the campaign, and he told me that while he was in prison, he was communicating with the campaign and with Trump himself through code. He had a way to get messages out, and he was communicating with Trump.
And over the weekend, Steve Bannon did a podcast where he said there's actually a plan for Donald Trump to run for a third term. Of course, that violates the Constitution. The Constitution says you can only be elected twice. But overnight on this trip to Asia, the president did not rule it out.
Yeah, and he's been talking about it, a fair amount. He's got his hats that say, Trump 2028. He points to FDR. There's a portrait of FDR in the Oval Office as a reminder that's a president that got elected 4 times.
Before
of course,
the 22nd
before
amendment.
the Constitution was amended. But I will say this: that Trump has been telling people privately, no, I'm going to go. I'm going to be done when this is over. And he goes and he polls people. I've heard this happen on multiple occasions, like on Air Force One. He'll go and ask people, so who do you think, JD or Marco? JD or Marco, who should it be? So, will it happen? Will he try to do it? He clearly can't do it under the Constitution. What I can't tell you, though, George, is how does he pass the baton? How does he finally come out and say, I am not running, and the attention is now on these other guys? The attention is now on those running for the Republican nomination.
Is that the biggest change? I wasn't even sure when he first ran for president that he wanted to be president. Now he can't let go.
Look, first of all, I write pretty extensively about the differences between this campaign, this presidency, and the first. The first presidency captured the world's attention, controversy every day, a lot of chaos. But what happened is it was relatively ephemeral. He left office, Trump was gone. He is changing things now and making a mark beyond anything he did in the first term. The great symbol of that is what we're seeing at the White House right now.
Yeah, well, that's one of the biggest changes. He's surrounded by a completely different cast of people second term.
Yeah, he's got people that will do whatever he wants. He doesn't have anybody trying to put a guardrail. And, look, he tore down the East Wing of the White House. He's transformed the Oval Office. He's transformed the colonnade, the cabinet room. Those are symbolic. but they're symbolic of what he is doing and the way he is changing the presidency and changing the country.
Jon Karl, thanks very much. Retribution is out tomorrow.